the Duke of York, who? Prince Andrew's stunning new identity in a palace power move. Let's be honest, we've all had that moment in our lives. Maybe it was a bad breakup, a career misstep, or a friendship that ran its course, where we desperately wished for a reset button. A chance to shed the old skin and start anew. For most of us, that's a fantasy. For Prince Andrew, it's become a harsh, mandated reality, and the royal family has just handed him the bill. In a move that feels less like a quiet administrative update and more like a thunderclap over Buckingham Palace, King Charles III has officially and permanently severed his brother Prince Andrew from the royal identity he's known his entire life. This isn't just a stripping of titles. It's a historical erasure, a deliberate act to protect the crumbling facade of the monarchy by casting out its most problematic player. The man we once knew as His Royal Highness the Duke of York is now simply Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Let that sink in for a moment. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It sounds like the name of a distant, slightly eccentric cousin you might see at a family wedding once a decade, not the son of a queen and brother of a king. This is the culmination of a years-long downfall, a slow-motion car crash we've all been watching. But the finality of this moment is still breathtaking. The palace's unflinching statement, reading between the lines. The palace didn't just whisper this change in a dusty corner of the court circular. They released a formal, cold, and devastatingly clear statement. Let's break it down, because the language here is everything. First, the core fact. His Majesty has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles, and honors of Prince Andrew. The use of formal process makes it sound like a corporate termination, which in many ways it is. Andrew was an employee of the firm, and he has been fired for gross misconduct. Then comes the real kicker regarding his home, the 30-room Royal Lodge in Windsor. His lease on Royal Lodge has, to date, provided him with legal protection to continue in residence. Formal notice has now been served to surrender the lease, and he will move to alternative private accommodation. Ouch. This isn't just about a name. It's about his roof. For years, Andrew has clung to that mansion, a symbol of his former status, despite the king's wishes for him to downsize. The phrase legal protection is a polite way of saying he's been hiding behind a technicality. Now, the eviction notice has been served. He's not just losing his title. He's losing his home, being pushed further into the shadows. But perhaps the most powerful part of the statement is this. These censures are deemed necessary, notwithstanding the fact that he continues to deny the allegations against him. Read that again. The palace is essentially saying, we don't care what you claim. The damage is done. The court of public opinion, and more importantly, our own judgment, has been passed. This is a monumental shift. The institution that once circled the wagons around him is now explicitly prioritizing its own survival and, crucially, the victims. Which brings us to the most human part of the entire announcement. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been, and will remain with, the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. This isn't an afterthought. This is the point. In one sentence, the king is attempting to draw a line in the sand, aligning the modern monarchy with empathy and justice, and definitively separating it from the alleged sins of his brother. The court of public opinion weighs in, as you can imagine. The news has sent shockwaves through royal watchers and critics alike, and the reaction is a fascinating mix of vindication, morbid curiosity, and a little bit of shock that Charles actually went through with it. One comment captured the visceral anger many feel. What he should have really done was off with his head, but this will have to do. He should make sure Andrew Mountbatten Windsor be investigated properly and not the fake investigation of past. It's the least he can do if he is so sorry for the victims. This sentiment echoes a widespread feeling that a name change is a symbolic start, not a true conclusion, and that real justice requires a deeper, more transparent accountability. Another observer pointed to the sheer historical weight of the moment. Wow, this is big. I thought I'd never see the day, but it should have happened a long time ago. I never thought Charles would have the guts to do this, but given he may not be long for this world, not to be morbid. This may be a Eidgaf and a last jab at his brother. This comment touches on the complex fraternal drama underpinning it all. Is this a king cleaning house for the sake of the crown, or a brother finally settling a lifelong score? Perhaps it's both. And then, of course, the inevitable comparison was drawn. As much as some royalists dislike Harry, it's going to be very hard to try and equate them to each other to the main general public. Epstein stuff is a whole different beast. This is the crucial point. While Prince Harry's exit was a story of family rift and a desire for independence, Andrew's fall is tangled in allegations of a deeply sinister and criminal nature. The palace is making it abundantly clear. Stepping back for a new life in California is one thing. Being associated with a convicted sex offender and facing serious sexual assault allegations is in a league of its own. What's next for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor? So, where does a 63-year-old former prince with a new name and no official home go from here? His future looks increasingly isolated. He will likely retreat into a life of extreme privacy, a far cry from the globe-trotting Air Miles Andy of the past. The financial pressures will be immense, with legal bills and the cost of maintaining any semblance of his previous lifestyle without the royal purse. The title, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, is now his shield and his prison. It grants him anonymity from the title he disgraced, but also brands him as the man who was cast out. It is a constant reminder of his fall from grace. This story is far from over. Buckingham Palace may have said their piece for now, but the echoes of this decision will reverberate for years. It is the most definitive act of King Charles's reign so far, a brutal but necessary surgery to try and save the patient. For the victims, it is a long overdue acknowledgement. For the monarchy, it is an act of self-preservation. And for Andrew himself, it is the final, lonely chapter of a story that serves as a stark reminder. No one, not even a prince, is above the court of public conscience. Stay tuned, because in the world of the royals, the dust from one earthquake never truly settles before the next one begins to rumble.